Ethan, can you come home this weekend? Mom's voice on the phone sounded tight, almost nervous. Sure, I said. Is something wrong? No, just family matters. Your father wants everyone here. When I pulled into the driveway that Saturday evening, the house looked the same. The lights were on, but the warmth was gone. Daniel's car gleamed beside Dad's old truck. It's like it belonged there more than I did. Look who finally showed up, Daniel said as I walked in, a sharp grin on his face. Thought you forgot where home was? I've been working, Dan. Not everyone can sit around running Dad's company. Is jealous already? He teased. Boys, Mom interrupted softly. Please, not tonight. She looked nervous, clutching a folder in her hands. Dad sat at the head of the table, his voice steady and measured. Sit down, Ethan. We've got something important to discuss. Got my stomach tightening. Dad cleared his throat. Your mother and I have decided to divide the property. It's time we put things in order. Divide, I repeated. Why now? Because I'm not getting younger, he said. It's practical. Daniel will take over the main house and the business. You'll get the lakeside property. I blinked. The lake property? You mean the patch of land with the half-collapsed shed? It's land, Dad said. You can build something there. You've always liked quiet places. I looked at Mom. You agree with this? She avoided my eyes. It's what your father thinks is best. Daniel leaned back, smirking. Come on, little brother. Don't act shocked. You hate business? The lake fits your vibe. Peaceful, simple, lonely. Shut up, I muttered. Enough, Dad barked. We're not fighting. This is final. The word hit like bricks. Final. So that's it? No discussion? You hand him everything, and I get the leftovers? You're overreacting, Dad said. Daniel's worked here for years. You chose your own path? My own path? I said quietly. You mean the one I had to take because no one believed in me? Silence filled the room. Broken only by the ticking clock, Ethan. Please don't turn this into an argument, Mom whispered. Then what should I do, Mom? Say thank you for the scraps? Daniel's smirk faded. You always act like life owes you something. I never ask for anything, I said, my voice trembling. Just a little fairness. Fairness? Dad repeated. Life isn't fair. You earn what you get. I stood up. Right. And what did he earn exactly? Your love, your trust, or just your blindness? Ethan. Mom's voice cracked. Please, sit down. But I couldn't. The room felt smaller with every breath. Daniel sneered. You can't even handle a simple talk without storming off. How could you ever handle responsibility? I turned to him. You think being loud makes you strong? You wouldn't last a week outside this house, he laughed. And you wouldn't last a day inside it. Mom suddenly slammed her hands on the table. Stop it, both of you. Tears filled her eyes. This is tearing us apart. I froze. Seeing her cry made something in me soften. Mom, I'm sorry. Dad sighed. No one wanted this to be ugly. But it's done. Yeah, I said quietly. It's done. After dinner, the house was too quiet. I stood by the old piano, brushing dust off the keys. Mom appeared in the doorway. Ethan, she said softly. Don't, I whispered. Please don't explain. It'll just make it worse. She stepped closer. We love you. Both of you, then why does it feel like I'm invisible? Her voice broke. Your father. He thinks don't make excuses for him, I said. He made his choice. I walked outside. The night air was cold and heavy. Daniel followed, hands in his pockets. You're taking this too hard, he said. Really? Would you smile if they gave me everything and left you with a shed? He shrugged. Maybe I'd build something better from it. Don't act wise now, Dan. You got lucky. Luck. He said, no, I worked for it. You ran away. I left because I was tired of being your shadow. He smirked. Then stop, standing in my light. For a second I wanted to hit him, but I didn't. I just stared at the brother I thought I knew. One day, You'll understand what you took from me. He smiled faintly. I didn't take anything you deserved. I walked away. The crunch of gravel under my shoes was the only sound. When I reached my car, Mom was standing by the door. You're leaving already? Yeah. Please stay the night. I can't. Not tonight. She pressed something into my hand, a small photo of us as kids by the lake. Your father loved that place once, she said. Maybe you'll find something there too. I nodded. Maybe. Driving down the empty road, I watched the house lights fade in the mirror. My chest ached in ways I couldn't name. Sophie called as I reached the highway. Hey, she said, cheerful at first. How was dinner? Awful. What happened? I laughed bitterly. They divided everything except the part that was mine. What do you mean? They gave Daniel the company, the house, everything. I got the lake property, oh, she said softly. That's not fair. No, I said, gripping the wheel. It's not, Ethan. Maybe it's a sign. You could make something out of it. I sighed. You always try to see the good. Someone has to. I don't know, Sophie. Maybe I'm just tired of pretending it doesn't hurt. She was quiet for a moment. Come over. Talk to me. I will. But not tonight. Okay, she whispered. I'm proud of you, you know, for standing up for yourself. I smiled faintly. Yeah, I just wish it didn't feel like losing everything. When I hung up, the world outside blurred with rain. I didn't cry, not yet, but something cracked inside me. The part that still believed family meant love. That night, I sat in my car by the lake property. The wind was sharp, the water still. I whispered to no one, You were never enough, were you? And the silence answered, No. The next morning, my phone buzzed. Michael's name flashed on the screen. Ethan, you need to see this, he said. What's wrong? Check the local listings. The Miller estate, half of it's up for sale. My stomach dropped. That can't be right. It's Daniel's signature on the documents, man. He's selling part of the land already. I hung up, pulse hammering, and called Dad. He answered after 3 rings. Ethan. Dad, is Daniel selling the property? A pause. He's doing what he thinks is necessary for the business. You mean he's selling what you gave him 5 days ago? Watch your tone, he said sharply. Tone. He's tearing apart what you built. It's his right, he said. You have your land. Focus on that. I could barely breathe. Unbelievable, I muttered, ending the call. My fingers trembled as I scrolled through the listings, half the estate gone. I drove straight to Sophie's apartment. She opened the door, hair messy, eyes red. Ethan, did you know? She asked. No? What? That Daniel's selling the property? Her lips parted, but no sound came out. Don't lie to me, I said, my voice cracking. I found out a few days ago, she whispered. A few days ago? I repeated. And you didn't tell me? I wanted to. Daniel said he needed help. I thought it was temporary. Help. Help with what? His business, she said, stepping back. He said he'd make it right. Something cold crawled through me. You talked to him? Her silence said everything. How long have you been talking to him? Tears filled her eyes. Ethan, please don't. How long? I shouted. Months, she whispered. The air disappeared. I stumbled back, shaking my head. No. No, you're lying.
Ow.
I didn't mean for it to happen, she cried. It was a mistake. He listened and I stopped. I said, just stop. She reached for me, but I stepped away. You knew what he did to me. You knew what that meeting did. And still I thought he cared about you, she said desperately. I thought maybe I could talk sense into him by sleeping with him. Her knees gave out. It wasn't supposed to happen. I was scared, Ethan. I needed stability. You were falling apart? Stability? I said bitterly. So you traded loyalty for security. It wasn't like that. The silence after those words was unbearable. I stared at her, at the person I thought I knew. My voice shook. When were you going to tell me? I tried, she whispered. Every time I saw you, I wanted to. But you looked so hopeful. So you waited until he destroyed everything. She cried harder. Please don't hate me, I laughed, hollow and harsh. Too late. I walked out before she could say another word. My chest burned, like someone had driven a blade into it. I drove without seeing the road and somehow ended up in front of my parents' house again. Mom opened the door, startled. Ethan, what's wrong? I stepped inside, my voice trembling. You knew, didn't you? She froze. About Daniel selling the property? About Sophie? Her eyes widened. So if you don't pretend, I said. Michael told me. The listing's public. And she admitted everything. Dad walked in from the study. This isn't the place. It's exactly the place. I shouted. You watched him ruin everything and said nothing? Mom whispered, we didn't know about Sophie. But you knew about Daniel. Dad's jaw tightened. He made a business decision. You call betrayal a business decision? Enough, he yelled. You're acting like a child. I laughed bitterly. Maybe I am, because I still believed you cared. Mom covered her mouth, tears spilling down her cheeks. Ethan, please stop. You should have stopped him, I said, my voice breaking. You should have stopped all of this. Dad turned away. Leave, Ethan, before you say something you regret. I stared at his back. Too late. I left the house barefoot, too angry to notice the cold pavement cutting my feet. The night air stung, but I didn't care. The lights from the house faded behind me, just like the warmth I once felt there. When I reached the old road, Michael called again. Ethan, what happened? They all knew, I said quietly. What do you mean? Daniel, Sophie, my parents, they all played their parts. And I was the fool in the middle, man. I'm sorry. I don't want sorry, I said, my throat tightening. I just want to understand why people I love keep choosing him. Michael sighed. Because you care too much, and he doesn't. That's why he wins. Then I don't want to care anymore. You don't mean that. I do. The wind howled through the trees. I sat on the curb, staring at my shaking hands. She said she did it for stability, I whispered. Who? Sophie. My Sophie? Michael was silent for a moment. Then she was never really yours. I laughed, broken. Guess not. Come crash at my place, he said. You shouldn't be alone. I already am. The phone slipped from my hand. I buried my face in my palms, trying not to scream. Every memory replayed in fragments her laugh, my brother's grin, my parents' silence. Each one stabbed deeper. I don't know how long I sat there before I finally stood. The world felt heavier, darker. My chest ached with something beyond anger, something like grief. I walked toward the lake property, shoes dangling from my hand, the gravel biting into my feet. Every step felt like losing a piece of myself. When I reached the water, the moon's reflection wavered in the ripples. I whispered, you all knew. The night didn't answer. It just watched, silent and cruel. I knelt by the edge, staring into the dark water. I gave them everything, I said softly, and they gave me nothing. For a moment, I wanted to scream, but no sound came out azonally, the steady, hollow rhythm of my heart. I looked at my hands, empty and trembling, and whispered the words that finally tore through me. I was never enough. And this time, I believed it. The apartment smelled like dust and cold pizza. The ceiling leaked when it rained, and the floor creaked when I breathed. I sat on the bare mattress, staring at the peeling wall, wondering how I got here. Michael knocked on the door again. Ethan, open up. I know you're in there. I didn't move. I brought food, he said. The edible kind. Not the self-pity flavor you've been living on. I sighed and opened the door. He stepped in, holding 2 takeout boxes. Wow, he said, scanning the room. You've really nailed the tragic artist and emotional decay look. Leave if you're here to joke. I'm here to make sure you're not dead, he said, setting the boxes on the floor. Eat. I'm not hungry. Eat anyway. I sat picking at the fries. You ever feel like everything you built just burned overnight? He nodded. Yeah, but most people rebuild instead of staring at the ashes. Hard to rebuild when everyone you loved helped start the fire. He leaned against the wall. Daniel, Sophie, your parents? Yeah, I know. But you can't keep bleeding over them. I'm not bleeding, I said. I'm empty. He stared at me. That's worse. For a while we ate in silence. The sound of traffic outside felt louder than usual. Then Michael spoke. You know what your problem is? I'm dying to hear it. You still think their approval defines your worth? I laughed bitterly. Easy for you to say. You didn't lose your whole family in 1 week, didn't I? He said quietly. You forget I was disowned when I left law school. My dad still won't answer my calls. I looked up. Yeah, but you don't act like it's killing you. 'Cause I stopped needing them to love me first, he said. Start there. I wanted to argue, but my throat burned. You don't get it, Mike. It's not just losing them. It's losing who I thought I was to them. He leaned closer. Then find out who you are without them. The silence pressed against my chest until I couldn't breathe. I grabbed the empty bottle beside me and hurled it at the wall. It shattered glass, scattering like pieces of my patience. Why wasn't I enough? I shouted. I worked. I cared. I stayed loyal. And it still wasn't enough. Michael didn't flinch. Because you were trying to be enough for people who didn't know how to see you. I sank to the floor, shaking. Then what now? What the hell do I do now? He crouched beside me. You start small. Eat. Sleep. Move. Breathe. Then build something new. Build what? He smiled faintly. Whatever makes you feel alive again. He left that night, after making sure I locked the door. I sat there for hours, staring at the broken glass. His words echoed, build something new. The next morning I drove to the lake. The property looked worse than I remembered. The grass reached my knees, and the shed sagged under years of neglect. But when I stepped onto the soil, something stirred in me. It was quiet, honest mean. I walked to the water's edge. The reflection was blurry, but I could still see the exhaustion in my face. I whispered, I'm still here. Over the next few days, I kept coming back. I bought tools I could barely afford, patching walls, cutting weeds, clearing debris. My hands blistered. My back ached. But for the first time in weeks, I felt something other than pain. Michael called one afternoon. You alive? Barely. The shed tried to kill me again. He laughed. You're working? That's new, I said, wiping sweat from my forehead. It's weird, but fixing things here feels like fixing something in me. Told you, he said. You just needed to hit something other than yourself. I smiled. Guess I'm hitting back at life with a hammer now. Good, just don't hit your thumb. That's not character development. That's stupidity. Thanks for the wisdom. Anytime. Therapist rate supply. When I hung up, I looked at the boards I'd nailed across the cracked window. They were uneven, but they held. That felt like progress at night. I'd light a small fire outside and sit beside it, listening to the lake lap against the shore. The flames reminded me of the chaos I'd left behind, but they didn't scare me anymore. They danced fragile, yet alive. Just like me, one night I whispered into the dark, maybe this is what healing looks like. Quiet, messy, real. A voice in my head answered, softer this time, you're learning to be enough for yourself. I leaned back, letting the sound of the water fill the silence. The world hadn't changed. My family hadn't apologized. Sophie hadn't come back. But for the first time, I didn't need any of that to breathe. The wind blew across the water, carrying the smell of smoke and salt. I felt it settle into my skin, raw but clean. I whispered again, I'll build something better. And for once, I believed it. It had been 6 months since I walked away from them. 6 months of rebuilding walls, cutting wood, and learning to live with silence. Then Mom called. Ethan. Your father's sick, she said. Her voice was thinner than I remembered. I stayed quiet. Please, she added. Just come see him. I wanted to say no. Every part of me screamed it. But the word that came out was when. The house looked smaller when I pulled into the driveway. The business logo on the truck was half peeled, the garden untended. Daniel's car was still there, but it was scratched and dull. Mom opened the door, tears already in her eyes. Thank you for coming. I'm not here for him, I said. I'm here for you." She nodded, stepping aside. "He's in his room. The doctor said it's stress." "From what?" I asked, though I already knew. "Daniel's company," she whispered. "It's falling apart. The investors left." I followed her down the hall. Dad lay in bed, pale and tired. When he saw me, his expression flickered between pride and guilt. "Ethan," he said softly. "Dad," he coughed. "You look strong." "Work does that," I said. "You should try it sometime," gave a faint smile. "Still sharp-tongued, I see. Still blind," I replied before I could stop myself. "Please, not now," Mom whispered. I sighed and looked at him again. "You'll be fine. You always are." As I turned to leave, he said, "I was wrong." I froze. "About what?" "About what mattered," he said. "I thought loyalty came from control. I see now it comes from love." His voice cracked, and for the first time, I didn't feel anger, just exhaustion. "It's late for speeches," I said. "I know," he whispered, but I had to say it. In the kitchen, Daniel sat hunched over a cup of coffee. He didn't look anything like the brother. I remembered the one who used to smirk through every win. His shirt was wrinkled, his eyes red and tired. "Didn't expect to see you," he muttered. "I didn't come for you," I said. He gave a dry laugh. "Still the saint, huh?" "Not even close." He rubbed his face. "They all left Ethan. The investors, the partners, everyone." I asked. "Because you tried to sell them promises instead of truth." His glare was sharp. "You think you're better than me?" "No," I said quietly. "Just different." He started pacing. "You love this, don't you? Watching me lose everything?" "Not really." "You want to see me crawl?" "I wanted you to understand," I said. "That's all I ever wanted." He slammed his fist on the table. "Understand what? That you're the victim? That everyone should pity you?" I leaned forward. "That some things can't be bought or stolen. You had it all, Daniel, and you still wanted mine." He stared at me, breathing hard. "Sophie left," he said finally. "She couldn't handle it. She left you." He laughed bitterly. "Guess she learned stability isn't the same as happiness." For a second, I almost felt sorry for him, almost. "You'll survive," I said. "You always do." "Not this time," he muttered. "Everything's ashes." "Then maybe you should look at what you burned," I said. Standing as I turned to leave, he called after me, "You think karma's on your side now?" I paused at the doorway. "No, I just stopped fighting it." That night, Mom found me sitting on the porch. The air smelled like rain, heavy and clean. "You saw your brother?" she asked. "Yeah, he's lost. I know." She sat beside me, hands trembling. "I need to tell you something." Waited. "When your father divided everything, I wanted to speak up," she said. "But I didn't. I thought keeping the peace was love, but I hurt you instead." Her voice cracked, and she began to cry. "Mom," I said softly, "you don't owe me an apology." "I do," she insisted. "I watched you walk away alone. No mother should do that." I looked at her, shaking hands. "I forgave you a long time ago." She covered her face. "Then why does it still feel like I failed?" "Because you care," I said. "And he doesn't," she nodded, wiping her eyes. "Your father's trying in his own way." "I know." "But I can't fix him." "You don't have to," she said. "Just don't turn your heart to stone." Her words hit something deep. I thought about the nights I'd spent fixing up that lake house, hammering away at ghosts. Maybe I'd already started softening without realizing it. "Do you think forgiveness means letting them back in?" I asked. She shook her head. "No, it means you stopped letting them control you." We sat in silence, listening to the wind. Inside, I could hear Daniel pacing again, still restless, still blaming everything but himself. I realized he'd never understand the peace I'd found, the kind that doesn't need revenge to feel whole. "You're stronger than I thought," Mom whispered. I smiled faintly. "No, I just got tired of breaking." Before I left, I looked back at the house one last time. The lights flickered weakly through the windows like an old fire refusing to die. Daniel's shadow moved across the living room, pacing circles around his own regrets. I didn't feel satisfaction, just silence. As I drove away, the rain began to fall, washing the dirt off the windshield. "Let it burn," I whispered. And for once, I didn't mean their world. I meant the past. The call came on a Thursday morning while I was sanding the porch rail. "Ethan Miller," a woman's voice asked. "Yeah, who's this?" "This is Grace Turner. I used to work with your father's company. I remember you handled the legal cases, right?" "That's right," she said. "I've been reviewing some property updates and your name came up." "My name?" "Yes, the lake property you own. It's been rezoned for commercial development. Do you know what that means?" "No idea. It means it's now worth several million." "That can't be real." "It's very real. I wanted to inform you before anyone else tries to claim it." "Anyone else like my brother?" She paused. "Let's just say I've dealt with enough Millers to know a storm's coming. You should file for full ownership immediately." After the call, I sat on the steps, staring at the water. Millions. The same land they'd treated like scrap. I didn't feel joy, just confusion. Michael showed up that afternoon with 2 coffees. "You look like you've seen a ghost," Grace Turner called. "The lake's worth millions now," he whistled. "Millions? You serious?" "She told me to file the papers before Daniel tries," he grinned. "Finally, some cosmic justice." "I don't know, Mike. It feels wrong. Wrong. Ethan, you didn't steal this. They gave it to you. You're just protecting what's yours." The words hit harder than I expected. For once, someone wasn't telling me to forgive or forget. The next morning, I drove to Grace's office. She greeted me in a neat navy suit, calm and confident. "Mr. Miller," she said, shaking my hand. "Please, just Ethan." "All right, Ethan." I signed. The sound of the pen on paper was quiet but final. Before I could leave, her assistant entered. "Miss Turner, there's a man outside asking for Mr. Miller." Grace frowned. "Name Daniel Miller." Tightened. "Do you want me to send him away?" Grace asked. I shook my head. "No, let him in." The door burst open. Daniel looked wild, shirt wrinkled, eyes bloodshot. "What the hell is this?" He shouted. "You think you can just take it all?" Grace stepped between us. "Sir, calm down." "Stay out of it," he barked. "This is family business." "Shouldn't be here, Daniel," I said. "Of course I should. That property was part of the estate. You can't just keep it. It was given to me. It was a mistake. Then Dad should have thought about that before signing it over." He stepped closer. "You knew it was valuable, didn't you? You waited." "I didn't know," I said. "Grace called me 2 days ago." He glared at her. "You told him?" "It's my job," she said coolly. "The property belongs to Ethan Legley." Daniel slammed his fist on the table. "This isn't over." "Yes, it is," I said quietly. He froze. "What did you just say?" "It's over. You've already had your share of the house, the business, even Sophie." Jaw tightened. "You think you're better than me now?" "No, I just stopped being beneath you." For a long moment, he said nothing. Then his voice cracked. "You're enjoying this?" "I thought I would," I admitted. "But watching you fall doesn't feel good. It just feels sad." "Sad." He repeated. "Because you still don't get it," I said. "You won everything and ended up with nothing." "I lost everything and found peace." Grace handed me the documents. "Everything's filed, Mr. Miller. It's officially yours." Daniel reached for them, but she blocked him. "Touch those papers, and I'll have you removed." He glared at me, his eyes full of fury and fear. "Congratulations," he said bitterly. "Guess you finally won." "There was never a game," I said. "Just consequences." He stormed out, slamming the door behind him. Grace gave me a small nod. "You handled that better than most." "I didn't win," I said. "I just stopped losing." She smiled. "That's usually how winning starts." Outside, Michael leaned against my car. "Well, it's done," I said. "So the land's yours?" "Yeah, completely." "How'd Daniel take it?" "Like a man watching his empire crumble." "Good." "No." I said quietly. Not good, just inevitable. He studied me. You don't look happy. Not. The silence that followed was heavier than grief. I'll come, I said. The church smelled of lilies and rain. Faces I hadn't seen in years filled the pews, whispering about the man who built everything and lost it all. Mom stood near the casket, eyes red but dry. Daniel lingered in the corner, pretending to listen to the priest. I walked up beside her. Thank you for coming, she said. I couldn't stay away. He asked for you near the end, she whispered. Said he hoped you'd forgive him. Maybe I already did, I said. Daniel stayed distant. When our eyes met, he looked away. I didn't chase him, there was nothing left to say. After the ceremony, Mom touched my arm. Your father was proud at the end, she said. Of what? Of you? Of the man you became. Pride had always been a word Dad saved for Daniel. Hearing it now felt strange, like a gift I didn't ask for. Outside, the rain had stopped. People offered condolences, their words blending together. He was a good man. Time heals. I just nodded, waiting to leave. At the reception, Daniel finally approached. You look different, he said. Is that supposed to be a compliment? I mean it. You seem calm. Maybe I stopped expecting chaos. He laughed softly. I guess you got what you wanted. The land. The peace. I didn't want peace like this, I said. Not bought with silence. You think I didn't love him? I think you loved what he gave you. And maybe that's what ruined both of you, he sighed. You're not angry anymore. I was for a long time. But anger got me nowhere. Then what now? I live. You make it sound easy? It's not, I said. But it's honest. He hesitated. Sophie sent me a message last week. Said she was sorry. She sent me a letter, I said. You going to read it? I already did. And I burned it. You what? I didn't need her apology. Some things end better in silence. He gave a faint smile. Guess we both learned the hard way. Guess so. I hope you mean it, he said quietly. About living. I do. He nodded once and walked away. Watching him leave felt like closing the last page of a long, exhausting book. That night, I drove back to the lake house. The air was cool, the stars sharp against the sky. The porch light flickered as I stepped out, boards creaking beneath my feet. The water was calm, reflecting the moon like glass. I sat on the dock, legs dangling over the edge. I made it, I whispered. The words felt strange, part victory, part relief. I thought about Dad's last words, Mom's tears, Daniel's broken voice. They'd all been chasing something: money, approval, redemption. Maybe I had too. But sitting there, I realized peace didn't need noise. It needed stillness. My phone buzzed again. It was Mom. Are you okay? She asked. I think so. Do you need company? No, I said softly. I just need some quiet. She paused. He really did love you, Ethan. I know, I said. I just wish he'd said it sooner. Me too, she whispered. Good night, sweetheart. Good night, Mom. I watched the light from the phone fade into the dark and listened to the sound of the water brushing against the dock. It was steady, patient like time forgiving what people couldn't. The fire pit still held ashes from the last time Michael and I sat there. I tossed the envelope Sophie had sent into it. The flames caught fast, curling the paper until her words turned to smoke. I forgive you, I whispered. I didn't know if I meant her, my brother, or myself. Maybe all of us. When the fire died, I laid back on the dock and looked up at the stars. They were sharp, endless, and different. But for the first time, I didn't feel small beneath them. I felt free. The lake that once felt like exile now felt like home. Every scar, every silence, every loss, it all led me here. I closed my eyes and whispered one last thing into the night. Dad, I hope you see me now. The wind moved across the water, soft but certain, like an answer. And for the first time in my life, I didn't need words to understand it. The lake house looks nothing like it used to. Where weeds once grew, children now laugh. Where I once shouted into the dark, People gather for coffee, music, and second chances. Michael stood beside me, hands in his pockets. You know, he said, this place feels alive. Should, I said. It's full of people who were half dead once. He grinned. Including you. Especially me. We watched a few kids race along the dock, splashing water at each other. Crazy, isn't it? He said. You took a piece of pain and turned it into a home for everyone else.
No.
Guess fixing broken things became a habit. He nudged my shoulder. You built something better than wealth, Ethan. You built peace. I smiled. Yeah, took long enough. The wind rippled across the water, and for the first time in years, I felt completely still inside. Michael's phone buzzed. Gotta run. I'll be back for the volunteer meeting tomorrow. Don't be late, I said. I run a tight ship now. He laughed. Sure you do. When he left, the quiet returned, the kind of quiet that didn't hurt anymore. I was cleaning up the benches when I heard footsteps behind me. Didn't think you'd ever come back? I said without turning. I almost didn't, Daniel answered. I looked up. He stood at the edge of the pathholder, thinner, softer somehow. His voice carried none of the sharpness I remembered. This place, he said, glancing around. It's different. It's mine, I replied. He nodded slowly. Looks better than when I last saw it. Everything does, I said. He chuckled weakly. I heard about what you've done. People talk. You've built a community here. Something like that, I said. A space for anyone starting over. Starting over, he repeated quietly. Wish I'd learned that sooner. I studied him, the lines on his face, the humility in his tone. It was strange seeing him like this. You look tired, I said. Life will do that, he replied. You were right, you know. About what? About everything I thought mattered. I stayed silent. He took a deep breath. I came to say I'm sorry. I looked at the water. I don't need that anymore. No, he said quietly. But I needed to say it. Stood there for a while, listening to the lake. Then he said, You turned the part that was yours into something beautiful. I smiled faintly. It was never about the land. I know, he said. That's why it worked. Turned to leave, his footsteps fading down the dirt path. I watched until he disappeared behind the trees. The sun dipped lower, casting gold across the water. Goodbye, Daniel, I whispered. A few children waved from the dock, calling my name. I waved back, laughing softly. The air smelled of wood smoke and peace. For the first time, I didn't feel the weight of the past pressing on my shoulders. This life, this quiet, this freedom was mine.